Hi, I'm Dave Pardo, Marketing Manager at Stratigent. Welcome to today's webinar presentation, Top 3 Tealeaf Questions that Stratigent can answer. Today's event will include Stratigent Consultant Tim Petlock as he reviews top questions that most data research analysts and digital marketing departments often run into when using the leading provider of digital customer experience management and customer behavior analysis solutions, Tealeaf, an IBM product. We thank you for joining us, and with that, I now turn things over to Stratigent Consultant Tim Petlock. Hi there, Tim.
Hey, Dave. How you doing this afternoon?
Good, good. Thanks.
Fantastic. All right. Well, yeah, there are three common questions that come up with regard to Tealeaf, and I'd like to touch upon those this afternoon. So I'm going to jump right in and go to the first slide that we've got here. The main question is, why aren't our customers converting? After all, you bought Tealeaf not necessarily to get the counts of how many things happened, but to understand more about the why, to understand more of the customer behavior. What I can add to that is you really have to look at a lot of sessions to start to see trends. As you begin to look at many sessions, you'll see things that begin to pop out at you, like customer struggle, could be issues with design of the page, something like that. There are also some peculiarities with the way Internet Explorer handles 302 redirects, if your application's design uses those, and those might not function as intended. That's one insight that we saw at a client location. If you have a sign-up process at the end of your funnel, are you sure that your description of an acceptable password that the user is setting, it matches exactly with what the JavaScript is doing on the page validation? There was a case where the customer would set a password that was perfectly acceptable to what the text on the page said, but the JavaScript wouldn't allow that particular page to be set because there was a difference between the English language text and the client-side validation. Aside from that, you might have navigation buttons that look the same but don't behave quite the same way. On one site, I saw two navigation buttons on a page that would seem to move the user to the next part of the flow, but only one of them persisted the data from the page. So that was an interesting conversation when we presented sessions to stakeholders. Nextly, why are you giving us these numbers? Why should we trust them? Well, again, Tealeaf is mostly about getting into the why, the customer experience, but it can also count things as well and go through your purchase funnel and produce a KPI and produce numbers that should pretty well track your third-party tagging tool. Issues that can come up are you could have logical flaws in your Tealeaf event stream that form each milestone along the way of the purchase funnel. You also have to really consider the variety of things that users might do in the course of the application. Sometimes from Tealeaf's point of view, it can't distinguish between browsing and multiple tabs because your session identifier is going to be the same thing. You might have interactions with the JavaScript that aren't anticipated within various browsers. So therefore, when you're doing testing in your QA environment, you should probably be testing that your milestone or stepping stone events are working in a wide variety of sessions from multiple browsers. And a fresh look at that might well uncover some of your discrepancies. Will it ever be exact? Doubtful. It's not going to match down to the percentage point, but it should track when you graph them. The lines should definitely track each other. When they diverge at all, that's when some logic in one of your analytics systems, whether it's Tealeaf or the third party, then your logic is slightly different. The next one comes up with fairly mature installations. Why can't we follow our Tealeaf event names? When I'm searching, I see this list of event names that makes no sense, or there seems to be consistency between some of the event names, but some of them are written in a completely different format. And if you've had Tealeaf for a long time, say you've been running it since version 6 or version 7, and you took the upgrade option, it's entirely possible that you've got hit attributes and events that may not even apply to your current website. Furthermore, in an ideal world, you wouldn't have staff turnover, but chances are you've had a wide variety of people touching your Tealeaf installation. So you ask yourself, did you design a naming convention and keep it up to date as your site evolved? And most importantly, did you enforce it over time? Other ways to kind of mitigate the risk of event pollution are doing documentation of why and when an event was created, so that you have some sort of a history that you can perhaps go back to and see that, okay, this particular event was created for this release. Perhaps you can go through your documentation when you decide to deprecate the functionality in that release, so that you can take away those events and hit attributes and get rid of the hangover from your previous iteration of your application. Aside from that, when you're doing an upgrade, it is, of course, possible to do a complete melt and repour. Granted, from a time spent perspective, it's much easier to just follow the update path that is simply converting your event database and history. But if you start fresh and document everything, it gives you the opportunity to go ahead and create a naming convention that exactly matches both your technical and your business users at that point in time, and get yourself positioned to derive more value from Tealeaf going forward, despite having spent a few more hours doing your upgrade. So those are just a couple of things that I've seen. Did you have any follow-on questions, Ben?
Yeah, Tim, there's one that I was wondering about. What do you see in a session when a customer is struggling?
Well, struggle typically manifests itself as repeated views of 2 or 3 pages back and forth within your purchase flow. The customer is going back and forth either because the application didn't behave as expected, perhaps it didn't save something that the customer expected it to, perhaps the design is confusing, maybe you have a rendering issue or a problem with the way that a script is running in their particular browser. But typically you see a lot of repeat visits to the same page in the flow, and oftentimes we'll find numerous sessions that seem to target the same 2 or 3 pages, and that's definitely a sign of struggle. Okay.
Tell me, what's the advantage of putting your non-Tealeaf tagging into a tag management system?
Well, oftentimes, I've seen clients go ahead and take their non-Tealeaf tagging, and they'll make a specification document that goes along with the release that they're doing that particular month, and they'll hard code the tagging into that release. The advantage of that is you know what it is, it's documented, it's been approved, it's gone through all of the steps. The disadvantage of that is perhaps your QA team doesn't necessarily know exactly how to read that the tags are looking correct. And you can wind up with incorrect tag information getting onto a production release of your site. And that is definitely going to cause your third-party tagging numbers to diverge from what Tealeaf is telling you based on the events and milestones that you're creating to form a Tealeaf KPI that you might derive numbers from. If you go ahead and have your tag management set up to read information from a data layer, as is an approach that Stratigent has taken at other clients, you can go ahead and correct issues with third-party tags between release cycles, because you've not only gotten a data layer, but you're calling your third-party system from a tag management system, and you can go ahead and make changes in between those release cycles and not necessarily have to wait another month to get your Tealeaf numbers and your third-party numbers to track.
I see. Excellent. Excellent. I'm glad you brought up data layer. In the coming weeks, we'll be talking a little bit more about data layer, working with tag management systems. I'm glad you brought that up. I encourage your viewers to keep an eye on that. But first off, tell me a little bit about, I understand that we have an ebook in regards to Tealeaf.
Yeah, we have a downloadable ebook on our website that I encourage viewers to go ahead and sign up for. Find out the 4 other pain points that we perhaps didn't discuss today with regard to using a Tealeaf as an enterprise, with regard to using Tealeaf as an enterprise web analytics tool.
Great, great. And that's available on our website as well as the link that is shown on the screen right now. Well, that's great, Tim. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks so much for the information. That concludes today's webinar, Top 3 Tealeaf Questions that Stratigent Can Answer. On behalf of Stratigent Consultant Tim Petlock, we'd like to thank you for joining us in today's event. For further questions, comments, or requests for additional information, feel free to email us at info@stratigent.com or visit stratigent.com. Once again, thanks for joining us. This is Stratigent Marketing Manager Dave Pardo. Have a great day.